everyone. Hey guys, welcome to our first episode of our podcast. Our today's guest is Mr. Samardan Holmahmad, who got impressive 7 on the test with a 7 on writing session. So let's dive into his IELTS journey here at CLS. Okay, so let's start. Hey, Mr. Samardan, how is it going? My first question is, who is Mr. Samardan? Who are you? Actually,
I'm the one who got, first one who got a 7 in Learning Center, California Learning Center.
Yeah, you are one of the pioneers who got 7 here, right? I think you're not only someone who got 7 here at California, but also someone who got 7 in Yakaba, right?
Exactly.
In Stanza, right? Here. We call here Stanza, okay? So let's talk about your English journey. We have a lot to talk about. When did you start learning English? And who was your first teacher?
I started learning English like 2 years ago, and my first teacher was Mr. Olobik, the founder of this center. I learned grammar for just 5 months, then I started CIFR. After studying CIFR for 4 months, I started IELTS. I think it was 1st June 2024.
So basically, you started 2 years ago learning English, right?
Yes, 2 years ago.
In 2 years ago, I think it's possible to get 7, right? Because you did it.
Yeah.
You did it. Okay. So basically, in the first year, you learned grammar, right?
Yeah, grammar.
So
just
you
5 months.
Okay. 5 months. Did you learn grammar within only 5 months?
Yeah.
And you covered all the grammar rules here.
Yeah.
Conditions, tenses, everything.
Everything, yes. Because first I'm an eager viewer. I like work hard. Yeah.
Okay.
And I have a lot of dreams to study abroad, meaning that I have to have a better score on IELTS. Also, I have to have other certificates, meaning that I have to work harder.
Yes. Actually, it's a natural behavior of men.
Yeah.
If men don't work hard, they will be losers, right? So when you are younger, why not we should push our limits? Why not we should work hard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's up to you. You know, before starting learning English, there was no one that encouraged me to learn English. Just I improved some aspirations, like I said, to study abroad. But there were many people that supported me. My parents, my relatives, some of my relatives, my grandfather. Then I started learning English, and now I have a 7.
Okay, and you are here,
Yeah.
right?
Here.
Okay. Who helped you enter the language? I mean, who was the someone who encouraged you or who talked about English or studying abroad? Hey, Mrs. Samardan, there's a certificate called IELTS, there's a certificate SAT, and you need to study this and this, and you can study abroad with a full scholarship.
Yeah, like I said, there was no one. Just I dreamed to study abroad due to some cartoons and movies. When I was younger, I used to watch a lot of movies in English, like Spider-Man, or some kind of cartoons, and you know, and most of them were created in foreign countries, like the USA or the UK. So I want to visit these countries. Therefore, I started this journey.
Okay. So you got your inspiration, you got your interest in English from cartoons and movies.
Yes.
Which is really impressive. Okay. So where did you watch cartoons or movies? On your phone, on the internet, or?
No. When I was younger, I didn't have a phone or a computer. Just we had a large TV, and some of my brothers were learning English, and therefore they used to watch movies and cartoons in English. Therefore, I used to watch with them.
And so did you, right?
Yeah.
So you did the same thing. Okay, good. Now let's talk about IELTS intensive program. It is the first program I created here in Yakima. Before this program, we didn't have any program or any intensive courses here, right? And can you talk about your genuine feelings and thoughts about it?
This program.
How it helped you reach the level, how it helped you get you here, right? Or how the English atmosphere helped you, your genuine feelings.
This program was really amazing and helped me a lot. Although there were some kind of rules that I didn't like. For example, the picture. Can you remember it? If you want to attend the speaking lesson, I have to have a video recording.
Which is ticket, right?
Yeah, which is ticket. If I don't have, I miss the whole lesson. That was the rule that I didn't like, because sometimes I miss some of your lessons.
Yeah, I know.
But the English atmosphere in this program was really incredible and great. Yeah, we used to speak just English, and you used to conduct the lesson entirely in English. Yeah, it was very good, very amazing, and I think this atmosphere helped us really a lot. A lot, because we used to speak English almost every day. So also the intensive program includes seven lessons a week. That was this really great.
Everyday English.
Everyday English.
Yeah.
And the lessons used to last at least 3 hours.
Okay.
Which means we used to speak English for 3 hours a day.
Yeah. I can exactly remember. Actually, our classes.
Yeah. But also there are other things that I liked. For example, I was really into writing lessons, because all of students used to write just one introduction or just one body one paragraph, and you used to take them one by one, and it was really great opportunity for us to exchange different kind of ideas and structures. I mean, due to this lesson, we learned different kind of vocabulary and topic vocabulary ideas from each other.
Oh yeah. So first thing, video homework, right? We said you didn't like video homework, and video recording too, right? So basically, in order to join our IELTS speaking classes, you should have a ticket, which is video recording. After learning by heart part 1, part 2, and part 3 questions, actually we don't learn part 3 questions, right? We only learn part 1 and part 2 questions and speaking videos for imitation, right? And in order to have a class, you should have a ticket, which is video recording. If you don't have a ticket, you cannot get on the plane, right? So our airplane is our speaking class, and our ticket is video recording, which is something interesting, right, for others. And actually, you didn't get it clear. I mean, you said you didn't like the ticket, but why you didn't like it? Why? Because it was difficult, or because it was uncomfortable?
First it was really difficult, because taking a video of yourself is really difficult for me.
Before taking video, you did try a million times.
Yeah. Because I used to pay attention to not just my answer. I used to pay attention to my some kind of my appearance, my hair, yeah. Therefore, it was difficult. And another thing was that I had a lot of household chores and school work, meaning sometimes I didn't have enough time to take a video recording. Therefore, due to these things, sometimes I miss several classes. Yeah, several classes. Therefore, I didn't like.
I recall that moments. Yeah, and I can exactly remember once you were kicked off here, right? You were left for about a week or 2 weeks.
No.
Because of that ticket, right?
Yeah.
You didn't take video recording, and you missed our 2 or 1 week, right? Yeah, and then you came back, and then you went ahead your journey from, let's say, from very beginning, right?
Yeah. Just
I think after that you changed your mindset. You changed.
After that, I realized how important it is to take a video recording.
Yeah,
because while taking a recording, I speak loudly, which can help me a lot to improve my pronunciation, fluency.
Yeah.
So after realizing this, I started to do it on a regular basis.
Yeah. So basically, for example, you learn part 1 and part 2 and any speaking answers, right? So if you just learn them by heart, you speak like a robot, right?
Yeah.
And with video homework, with videos, you can figure out how you behave while you're talking in English, right? How your fluency is, or what kind of intonation you have, right? Because by imitating videos, you can learn how to make a pause when it's needed, right? Or you can learn how to make a facial gestures, right? Yeah, and I think video homework helped you to be confident as well when you are speaking, right? Because I can exactly remember our first class I had with you guys. When you're talking, can you remember the first class?
Yeah.
I took a mock test, the first ever speaking mock test from you guys, and it was kind of, let's say, nerve-wracking for me because your pronunciation and your grammar was good, but your pronunciation and your, let's say, body language was not that good. And then we started speaking, and I figured out your problems. And I started giving you video homework and video recording and part 1, part 2 questions, right? Yeah. What was the part of, ChatGPT here? Can you talk about ChatGPT while learning English? Is it important to have a ChatGPT or no in these days?
In the first 3 or 4 months of studying IELTS, I never used ChatGPT. Just I started to use it after improving my fluency and vocabulary.
Okay, hang on a minute. Where did you get the answers for questions that I sent you? Because I texted prompt for ChatGPT, right? Speaking prompt for part 2 and part 1. And where did you get the answers?
Just you came here after. You didn't start this IELTS course.
Yeah.
You came here after 4 months.
Oh yeah.
After 4 months, and during this 4 or 5 months, I didn't used to use ChatGPT. Just I used to use different kind of books. Yeah. After you came here, we started using ChatGPT, and it helped us a lot.
Yeah.
Because it make it easy. It made it easy for us to find answers quickly.
Yeah. It's fast.
Before this, we used to search our answers from different kind of books and used to spend even 4 or 5 hours a day on just part one, just searching part one answers, simple answers.
Yeah. So back in 2022, I cannot exactly remember, it was 2022 or 2023, we didn't have ChatGPT. So the method I did when I was prepared for IELTS, I used to write my own answers for speaking. It used to take a lot of time, more than you can imagine. For example, if you want to write the answer for part 2 or part 1, you should spend at least 2 hours. First, you should think about your ideas, and then you should pay attention to grammar, right? And you should pay attention to vocabulary.
You should
right?
memorize them.
Yes, and you should memorize them. It used to take me about, let's say, 7 or, if I'm not mistaken, 8 hours for only speaking. Can you imagine? Without ChatGPT, we did spend a lot of time on speaking. And with ChatGPT, it helped a lot, right? To improve your speaking. Yeah. And guys, here's an important reminder. Do not use ChatGPT for scoring your writings. Okay? Do not rely on ChatGPT for scoring your writings. Task 1 and task 2. The best thing to score or to give you score for your task 1 and task 2 is human beings. Okay?
But
ChatGPT is a machine.
Yeah, no, it's really, I think it's common in my math students to take a score of their essays. They send their essays to ChatGPT and order them to give the essays a score based on the IELTS writing criteria. But whenever you send these answers several times, ChatGPT gives them different scores.
Yes. Yes.
Which means it wasn't reliable.
Of course.
It isn't reliable.
It's not reliable, right? It's not practical. I mean, it is practical for every singularity, except for scoring your tasks, right? Because in order to give a score for your writings, you should have genuine feelings, because writing and speaking are based on subjective opinion, right? Subjective. Yeah, that's helpful. That's fair. Now let's talk about IELTS tips for English learners. Yesterday you were a student. Right now you are someone who learned a lot, who had ups and downs while learning English, right? And you have a lot of experience, right? And you can talk about your journey, you can talk about tips. Let's start first, your reaction. What was your first reaction when you saw 7?
This score was unexpected due to my mistake while transformation. And whenever I opened the IELTS results page, my heart was racing, and I was nervous and sad due to my mistake. But I started to scroll down the screen, and there was a student. I jumped out of my chair because, like I said, it was unexpected. I didn't expect it, and it wasn't a perfect 9 or perfect 8 or 8.5, but it was it felt like for me it felt like winning a gold medal, because
of course.
In the future I'm gonna improve this score, and starting this journey with a 7 I think isn't really bad.
It's not very bad. It's very impressive.
Right? The most impressive thing in this score is a 7 in writing. Writing, to the best of my knowledge, writing is the most difficult part of IELTS.
Yeah. So you talked about your reaction, right?
Yeah. I stared at 7 it, for not believing my eyes. And let's make it some emotional. I felt like those late nights and early mornings paid off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hard work always pays off, right?
Yeah.
So, who was the someone who listened or who saw your first result? I mean,
you.
Basically, me.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
I didn't. First, I didn't believe it. So I made a call to you.
Yeah.
And I want you to inform others about the results. Our results were out, and I informed you. And you are the first that not knew this result.
Okay, yeah, it was early in the morning. I guess it was 8 a.m., 8 something. I was in a rush to get here, to go to work, and unexpectedly I received a call from you, right? And you said like, hey teacher, I got my result. And I said, what is that, right? And you said, our target score. And I was the someone who felt like, I said an exam. I felt like I got again 7. I got another 7. I felt like that, right? Yeah, it was really impressive listening to your student who got 7, who's talking to you in the early morning. It was the best news I received in that morning.
And I told my parents about that, and I think I didn't see their reactions, but I lived it where over the moon. Where over the moon. Because, like I mentioned, this result was unexpected, and also they also didn't expect this result from me.
You know what? So many people, not students, so many people here in Yankabak do not have information about IELTS, right? I can exactly remember it was 2025 February. You wanted to set an exam, right? It was like your decision. I felt like at that time you really wanted to set an exam, right? And I received a call from your father, and he said like he was actually afraid of you not getting any score on IELTS. He was that afraid. He was like afraid of you getting below 5, which is not practical, which is not a score which can help you to get into university, right? And after February, March, April, after 3 months, you're here, you get one of the impressive scores here in Yankabak, right? Every year. So, we talked about your reaction. Let's dive into your sub-scores. First, listening, right? What happened? Okay, you talked about it was a problem. So you made a mistake while you're copying answers to the answer sheet. But how was the overall listening test? It was difficult or no? And what was the difference between our mock tests and the real exam? How it felt when sitting exam and listening to audios with the headphones, right? You had headphones.
The listening test was far from difficult. It was easy.
Which part? Part 1, part 2, part 3? All of them.
The difference between our listen and the real exam was just, I think, the environment. I had some pressure in the real exam, but I could handle it. And the listening test was easy.
By the way, it's your first attempt, right? We didn't sit an exam before.
I didn't know what size. So then just I made mistake while transforming my answers to the answer sheet. I wrote my all answers, or not all answers, just the answers of multiple choice questions with flashes. Therefore, this mistake inhibits me from getting 8 or 8.5 in listening.
Yeah, because you were getting at least 8
Yeah.
on our mock test, right?
Yes.
On listening. Not only on listening, but also on reading too.
Yeah.
At least 8 or 8.5, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Before sitting the exam, I had been paying more attention to that just academic knowledge, just enhancing my knowledge. And if I didn't pay attention to that kind of rules.
What about tests, the structure of the test, listening and reading test? So you said you only focused on your general English, right?
Yeah.
Your general knowledge. I mean, not only English, but also your general knowledge, school knowledge, right? So, guys, there is something important. If you want to pull off 7, like Mr. Samardan, you should not pay attention to test, only test. Okay? First, improve your general language, general knowledge, and try to focus on your test. Okay? What about the last 2 months or the last 1 month? You continued focusing on your general knowledge, or you started, concentrating on the structured test?
After sitting the exam or before it?
Before the exam.
Before the
the
exam.
last month.
Last month,
Yeah.
just enhancing my knowledge, improve my expertise. Yeah. Just I had paid my whole attention to take something from you. But I hadn't learned about rules and how to transfer my answers to the answer sheet. Yeah, we used to use that kind of answer sheets in our workplace, but we used to check each other's answer sheets, answers, meaning that you didn't follow. You didn't feel.
I didn't.
It wasn't your mistake. I don't mean that it wasn't your mistake. Just it was my mistake. I didn't ask you about it.
I did see it once. I saw your answer sheet. Not once, but 2 or 3 times. Yeah. You didn't copy the answers like that.
I don't know. Just I did what I had been doing.
Yeah. I think it was something which should be done, right?
Yes.
We didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Right? So everything doesn't happen when it's expected, right?
Yeah.
And this is our lesson. We expected you would get at least 8 on listening and reading.
Like
And
human beings learn by trial and error.
Yeah, trial and error.
And I learned a lot of things from this my mistake.
Yeah. And lesson learned. You're not making something like that again, right?
Yeah.
Aren't you?
I am never.
I see. Okay, let's talk about reading. Actually, your reading was not that bad. It was decent, right? When you started, when you started having classes with me, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I showed your first mock test, guys, to my next generation, and they saw your mock results. It was, if I'm not mistaken, 28, 29.
No, the first mock test.
Yeah, it was 6.5 on reading. You got 6.5.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I can remember it clearly. My first mock test was 22.
22.
Yeah.
No, on listening.
Both of them. 22, 21. And
okay. And how you improved your reading?
reading.
Yeah.
Before that, I used to think that vocabulary is important for reading. Just you should understand it really really well, but I didn't think that if you don't have enough vocabulary, how can you understand the passage?
Yeah.
Then after that, I started to work on my vocabulary. So vocabulary, and also I started to reading articles that helped me a lot to improve my reading. Yeah, and just before that, I used to do a lot of tests every day, at least 3 or 4 tests, reading tests. Imagine.
But
There were a lot.
But I made you to do only one reading test, right?
Yes.
And you did 3 reading tests on a day.
Yeah, because you changed our program. Even the one before you come, after you come here, doing just one reading test used to take 4 or 5 hours a day, because I had to learn the vocabulary by heart, learn some structures. If the reading structures are very important for writing and can help you through your writing, and also learn vocabulary, structures, and ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the result. First mock test. It was 29th September 2024, last year, and your first listening result on me was 23, and reading 29. It was 29. It was literally 7, right? It was literally 7, but it's unimaginable. 23 is 6, right? You reached from 6 to literally 9, 8.5 within 6 months. Right? It is really out of question, right? It's out of question.
It's up to you. Like you said several times, determination and dedication are things that can lead to success.
Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit your reading further. So you said you didn't know vocabulary was important for reading, right? And after having classes with me, you figured out that vocabulary is the most important thing, right? Before comprehension. Reading actually, guys, so reading is like a puzzle, and in order to solve that puzzle, you need to have vocabulary, right? Yeah. If you don't know the vocabulary, if you don't know words, you cannot solve the puzzle, right? Yeah. First vocab, and if you know the vocabulary, you can understand the text, right? And you can improve your comprehension. But some students try to improve their comprehension without learning vocabulary. How it's possible, right? It's kind of dumbness, right? Yeah.
I think most students, including me, think that doing a lot of tests can improve their English proficiency, reading score and listening score. And I used to think like that. Yes. Like I said, I used to do a lot of tests on a single day without analyzing it, learning vocabulary, and not learning some ideas.
Okay.
There's a connection between reading and writing. After analyzing reading tests and learning some vocabulary, topic vocabulary, I could improve my writing.
Okay. Yeah. So in our last 3 months, our program changed a little bit, right? Okay, we're going to talk about later. First, we should finish your sub-scores. What about writing? What did you do on writing? I can exactly remember I gave you multiple 7s and 7.5s to your task 2, right? But your task 1 was 6.5, sometimes 7, right? Did I give you 7.5 for your task 1?
No,
right?
But
how it's possible to get 7 on writing without completing task 1? You said you didn't complete task 1, but you got impressive 7, right?
Let's break the writing preparation into different, let's say, stages of parts. First, if you want to improve your vocabulary, if you learn more top vocabulary, I recommend you to analyze essays that are written by beginners or those who have 8 or 8.5 in writing, because they know how to use some advanced vocabulary in the context. And also, if you want to learn advanced structures, watching videos is the best way to do it. Because if you see someone who is using this structure in front of you, you can learn it easily and quick. You can remember it for a longer time. Also, you can learn advanced structures by analyzing it, but it can be confusing because you might understand the structure very well. And idea generation, I think it was a problem for most students. Like I said, there is a connection between reading and writing, meaning that if you analyze reading passages every day and learn ideas, you can improve your idea generation. Articles, articles, notebooks. Because in articles you learn about almost all aspects of life, from politics to psychology.
But you stopped analyzing articles, right? I used to give articles, if I'm not mistaken. I did give you articles, 5 or 6 articles, and you said like, no, articles are not helping me, and let's stop it, right? Because I can exactly remember after class we used to analyze articles with you, right?
Just the articles were from reading passages, and they were really difficult for me. Therefore, I didn't like them. But I could find other sources of articles, and they were interesting. And I mean, if you are interested in something really well, if you are interested in something, you want to do it again and again. Therefore, I prefer to read this kind of articles rather than passages from reading texts.
Here's a good point. If you want to improve your writing, if you want to improve your reading, it doesn't matter if it's reading or writing, you should do what you're interested in. For example, when it comes to reading, if you're interested in politics, if you're interested in technology, if you're interested in, let's say, psychology or science, anything, you should read more articles. You should do more passages about these, fields. For example, if you're interested in technology, but if you try to read and analyze articles about, let's say, science, you don't improve your reading comprehension. You don't improve your reading when you do the articles about technology, because it is something you're interested in. When you're interested in, it will be easy and it will be interesting, right? To learn. That's really impressive. So we generally talked about the copying the answers incorrectly, but can you talk about it really carefully? I mean, thoroughly. What did you do actually? It was lack of time, or you didn't know about copying the answers like that? What was that?
I didn't know.
The
time wasn't a problem. I was given minutes for listening. The time for answers.
What about reading?
Answership.
How many minutes did you spend on solving 3 passages? I can exactly remember you used to finish 3 passages, if I'm not mistaken, on 40 and 41 minutes, right?
Yes.
Sometimes.
The reading was easy, and I could finish it, I think, 10 minutes earlier. Which means I had plenty of time to transfer my answers to the answership correctly. I didn't know how to correct, especially multiple choice questions. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could finish my passage 3 within 20 minutes, including transformation.
Oh yeah.
Just I spend more time on passage 1 and I think passage 2. Yeah.
So passage 1 was more difficult than passage 3, right?
No, it wasn't difficult. Just there were some questions that were confusing.
That made you think.
Yes. I read it several times. Therefore, it took a bit more time.
Okay. So we talked about reading, listening, and writing, right? What about speaking? Speaking, which is really interesting point, right?
Yeah.
So our classes, not only reading, listening, writing, but also our speaking classes used to and are getting conducted entirely in English, right?
Yes.
It's not a problem for us to express, not only for us, but it's not a problem for you guys, right?
Yes.
To express your genuine feelings and ideas in English, right? But in order to get higher score on listening, you should not only be a good speaker, talkative, but also you should be able to, put your ideas in order, right?
Yes.
For example, even if you are a good speaker, if you talk about gardens in one sentence, and if you talk about mountains in the second sentence, you're not getting higher score, right? You should talk about anything, anything in order, in sequence, right? First, you should talk about this, and second, you should talk about this, and third, you should talk about this, right? Everything should be in order. Oh yeah, but can you remember we used to have lectures and therapy sessions in Uzbek?
Yeah.
And you guys used to tell me like, hey teacher, let's talk in English. Hey, teacher. Oh yeah, back to what we were talking about. We were talking about writing, right? Yeah, and we done. So we talked about literally everything. Yeah. I can exactly remember the days when I didn't give you tasks, but you used to write both task 1 and task 2. Even though your course mates didn't do any tasks, you used to write task 1 and task 2 and send me, if I'm not mistaken, even 3 or 4 tasks, task 2s on a day.
Yeah.
You have a channel, right? And you used to send tasks. And yeah, after doing this kind of hard work, you got your result.
Yeah. I used to watch different kind of videos about writing, and I used to learn different structures, vocabulary, ideas, and I tried to use them. I tried to put them into practice.
Oh yeah.
Therefore, I used to write even 2 or 3 essays a day. Just I wrote these essays to check my knowledge. What kind of things can I can learn from this video, from this book.
This is actually a really good method, really good technique. When you learn vocabulary, you should put into practice. When you learn any structure, any technique, you should put into practice, right?
Yes.
This is the technique that helped you get 7 on writing, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we talked literally a lot. We touched every single thing you had with me, and now let's talk about life outside IELTS. What kind of person or what kind of guy are you outside, IELTS?
I have some kind of activities that I really like. I think the first one is football. I think most boys.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Even.
So you are a football guy, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like.
What about other personal pursuits? For example, outside football, what do you do? Only football?
I think I'm really into traveling.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't traveled to other countries yet. But in the
So
future,
you're
I'm
doing
gonna
it
do it.
all.
Yeah. Just whenever I have time, I try to watch different kind of videos about traveling, about countries that I'd like to visit in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, watching videos. I usually watch videos in English and watching videos and learning about these countries. I think it's really helpful, really beneficial for me. First, I take a lot of information about countries. The second one, it can make a positive contribution to improve my listening.
Okay. Yeah. So today's talk was really helpful and informative, not only for me and for you, but also for other students, our audience, right? We talked a lot about your IELTS journey, about your English journey, right? Outside IELTS. Oh yeah, let's finish it now. So, guys, if you want to be our podcast guest here, you should have 7 on IELTS, right? When you get 7, you'll be staying here. When you get 7, we'll be talking about your journey, about you, and about your life outside IELTS, and literally everything. Yeah, so see you our next podcast. And stay tuned, we have a lot to come to the table.